Hello, my dear students. I'm glad to see you at my English lesson. Today, we are going to talk about adverbial clauses of time. My name is Nekludova Evgenia Anatolievna. I'm an English teacher in Odessa's Lyceum number 81. So, let's begin our lesson. An adverbial clauses of time shows when something happens. It is usually introduced by the time adverbs like before, after, as, when, while, until, as soon as, hardly, no sooner. And now let's find out when we should use as, when, and while. The first. We prefer as rather than when to say that when one thing changes, another thing changes at the same time. As the cheese matures, its flavor improves. The second, we prefer while or as to talk about two longer actions that go on the same time. While is used in informal speech. For example, I went shopping while Liam cleaned the house. The third, we use while or when to avoid ambiguity when as could mean because. For example, while you were playing golf, I went to the cinema. And when we use when? We use when to introduce the clause which talks about an event and take place at the same time as some longer event. For example, they were playing in the garden when they heard a scream. We use when to mean every time. For example, I still feel tired when I wake up in the morning. And we use when if one event happens immediately after another. For example, when the lights went out, I lit some candles. When we use before, after, and until. We use before or after to talk about an event happening earlier than another event. For example, I put on my coat before I went out. The second. We use until and before when a situation continues to happen up to a time indicated in the adverbial clause. For example, I had to wait 6 weeks until the parcel arrived. We use until to talk about an action that continues to a particular time and then stops. For example, they sat on the beach until the sun sank below the horizon. The fourth, we use until to describe the result of an action in the main clause. He cleaned his shoes until they shone. Note that all adverb clauses are subordinate clauses. They cannot stand on their own and must be attended to an independent clause. All adverb clause of time can come before or after the main clause. When it comes before the main clause, we usually separate it with comma. Commas are not necessary when the adverb clause goes after the main clause. If you are talking about something that is yet to happen in the future, use a present tense in the adverb clause and a future tense in the main clause. And now, let's have some grammar practice. Your first task is to complete the sentences with the words before, until, when, as soon as, and after. And now check up your answers. Your next task is to choose one of the most appropriate adjective clauses. And check your answers. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and this information was useful for you. See you next time. Goodbye.